Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I am Tharp Eralie, and I use they, them pronouns, and I am today's worship associate. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here today. If this is your first time with us, we'd love to get to know you. Please sign our guest book in the foyer. You can also speak with our greeter, Mike McNaughton, or Rebecca Howard, if Rebecca wanted to wave. She's in here. There she is. She's by the door. And she's our co-chair of the membership committee, so you can get information about our church. For kids here in service today, we have our activity table up front. We ask that you use your whisper voices to talk at this table. Kids can also stay seated with their grown-ups. Grown-ups and kids can also feel free to use our library to continue to hear the service. We also have a nursery for our kiddos 0 to 3, and Sarah Hamoud is our nursery coordinator and can check in our younger kiddos. After a time for all ages, kids are invited to go to their World Blessings class with Elizabeth Portillos, and grown-ups will need to sign out their kiddos after the service from the gathering hall where we just had breakfast. We have our candles of community area over here to my right, and also in the back. If you would like to come up and light a candle, the book is up here if you would like to write down something to be read out loud. And we will read that out during a time of joys and sorrows. If you are in need of any pastoral care, please contact Reverend Tina DeYoe to set up an appointment. Please go ahead and silence your phones this morning as we begin our worship service together. You are now invited to greet your neighbor. You are encouraged to greet someone you do not know or recognize, and we will call you back with a chime.
Terra said she has changes to the announcements, so...
Okay.
Why don't you do this one, the sanctuary vigil space, you can stay in there, and then Terra can come up and do, her stuff, yeah.
Okay.
You want me to just read those?
So yeah, but you can announce this and all the changes of where things will be after the service, and then you can announce these ones.
Perfect. Okay.
You can read the track.
Thank you. Church announcements can be read weekly through your email and can be found on our website, our monthly printed flyers, and on our social media pages. To highlight a few today, after service today, you are invited to stay in our sanctuary vigil space and reflect on all of the names and stories of the transgender folks who have lost their lives this past year due to violence for just being transgender. Feel free to read their stories. Use the QR codes. We have some flyers up here with QR codes on the photos and to access and read their stories. This is how we honor and memorialize their sacred lives. If you need Again, if you're in need of pastoral care in the vigil space, Reverend Tina will stay around and will be available to talk to you. Now give the rest to Terra.
Good morning, beloveds. We are going to have to adjust a few things today because we had an awesome family breakfast. Thank you, everybody who came and all the cooks. So with the family breakfast, we did a gender flip, and we sent out questions beforehand. Keep reflecting on those. I know we didn't get through them all around our tables. And then, so today, World Blessings will not be cooking. They will be in the Create Room, and they're going to be reading a book about Indigenous perspective on Thanksgiving, and then making more gratitude leaves. And they will still get to make purple potatoes, but that'll be in a couple weeks. And then the OWL class will be staying in here for the service, and then they will leave after the service and have a full OWL class afterwards. And they'll have plenty of snacks, don't worry. And then dork dancing will be, since we didn't get to have time to have dork dancing, we're going to be doing dork dancing in the Create Room at noon. And then comparative religions will be meeting in the Meditate Room this morning, and that allows more space to continue cleaning up after breakfast. So those are just adjustments. And then we've got coming up our Thanksgiving. I'm so excited. We have several people signed up already. And please share this with your neighbors. Share this with anyone you know might be lonely. This is a community event. We're welcoming everybody in our beloved community to the table. So, and the Evite is out, and you can sign up there to let us know what you might be bringing. It's not required to bring food, but if you can bring food, it's very helpful. So we'll be starting at 1:30, setting out the food, and we plan to eat at 2. And then the next thing is save the dates for December. So Bazaar is coming up, and I didn't read the script, but anyway, we got Bazaar, and that will be on December 6th. And the sign-up genius will be going out. We're going to send out 2 different ones, so you can sign up for silent auction items and being able to donate those, and then also be able to sign up for helping the day of, preparing beforehand, and bringing stuff for Frito Pies in the bake sale. And then we have Pageant Sunday is on December 14th, but the practice for that will be December 7th, the first one. And that one, is it there? Is that it? Okay, so thank you.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tina DeYoe, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am the minister here at this congregation. And this is our call to worship time today as we gather in this holy and sacred space. And we know that this is a space full of grief, full of wonderful stories of our trans siblings, and full of sadness and anger. So we are coming together in this holy and sacred space now. We come together as a community every Sunday to pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom, calling us to be our better selves. Today is our church's observance of Transgender Day of Remembrance, which occurs every year on November 20th. And this day is also known using the acronym TDOR. So if you hear that, TDOR is the acronym for Transgender Day of Remembrance. Today we are memorializing the lives of trans folks that have been tragically lost this year. You can see that there are some seats in our sanctuary that are empty and are filled with the photo and story of one of our transgender siblings. These seats represent those transgender lives lost to violence in our communities we are a part of, our Unitarian Universalist community, and in our circles of family and friends. These empty chairs represent our missing transgender siblings. Any one of our transgender siblings' lives lost is one too many. So just a brief history about TDOR, Transgender Day of Remembrance. What we know as the Transgender Day of Remembrance started in the mid-1990s after a series of murders in Boston, predominantly of Black transgender women. It was a time when the media, if it covered trans people at all, did so as either a nameless victim or a godless predator. The targeted killing of our ancestors almost never made the news, and when it did, it was nearly without exception as a salacious headline and under a dead name, a name used prior to transition. As it almost always is, the violence was the message. You either don't exist or you don't deserve to. 26 years ago, on November 20th, a group of trans people gathered to grieve the murder of their sister. Her name was Rita Hester. The Boston media had covered her death, but had predictably sensationalized it. In their coverage of her final hours, they talked about her double life, her strange transgender lifestyle, and her work as a call girl. Newspapers made the intentional editorial decision to misgender her. When they used her name at all, they put it in quotes. But more often, they used a name she had never wanted to hear again. It was the community of beloveds she built around her, her family, that made sure she was grieved the way she deserved, with love and respect and in her own name. That naming turned out to be her legacy. And today we will engage in this practice of naming and honoring these lives. So we are here together today to loudly proclaim that trans lives are sacred. Our Unitarian Universalist faith proclaims that embracing transgender, non-binary, intersex, and gender-diverse people is a fundamental expression of our UU religious values. At our 2024 General Assembly, we passed a resolution that asserts that being transgender or identifying with any gender other than one assigned at birth is a beautiful and divine manifestation of humanity, as is being intersex or having sex characteristics that vary from what is considered typical. That is from our General Assembly statement that we voted on in 2024. As UUs, we believe that the ability to live ever more authentically as one's true self is central to a lifelong journey towards spiritual fulfillment, and that our covenant as a faith inescapably binds us to affirm and protect our transgender and intersex members and kindred in faith and in practice. So, we are here today to read the names of those 69 people in the United States that have lost their lives to transphobic violence. We are here to honor these US citizens' lives, the lives of 300 plus transgender siblings across the globe that have died as a result of transphobic violence this year, the trans lives lost that are unaccounted for, and we are here to remember their sacred life stories. As we pause to recognize a year that included 69 lives lost to violence here in the United States, we also have to recognize a year that included 616 anti-trans state bills, 101 federal bills, 6 executive orders, and 2 detrimental Supreme Court decisions for the transgender community, including upholding a ban on gender-affirming healthcare for trans youth, and another decision that allows the government to enforce a policy blocking transgender and non-binary people from choosing passport sex markers that align with their gender identity. Those numbers and policies have consequences. Research has linked policies like these to a massive increase in violence, a consequence some policymakers seem to not only accept, but delight in. Sam Ames, a Unitarian Universalist, civil rights attorney, and a consultant on LGBTQ+ issues nationwide, lifts up the importance of Transgender Day of Remembrance and why we gather in observance. Sam states, Reading the 69 names is a ritual to reclaim that power from the twin violence of execution and erasure. A ritual to grieve our beloveds and welcome our ancestors. A ritual to honor the change that's possible when what gathers us together is fierce love. So that one day, 1 year, the number of names we read will be 0. This remembrance service can be triggering for people, and we encourage you to take care of yourself throughout this service. If you need a drink of water, if you need to leave the room, if you need to breathe, if you need to cry, please do what is best for you to take care of yourself. And if you need to talk after this service, please let me know. After our service, this vigil space will remain open, and I will also be in this space for any pastoral care that is needed. You can also schedule an appointment with me if that is needed as well. Also, if you are in crisis, you can also reach out to the New Mexico Crisis and Access line here. And we also have a UU resource as well. That is a new resource. So there's a monthly trans non-binary pastoral care space online, and it's called The Woodlands. And it's an online gathering designed for trans children, youth, and adults, as well as their parents and caregivers of trans people. So these spaces are facilitated by UU chaplains, and the next gathering online is Sunday, December 7th. So if you need more information about that space, please also contact me. And I am grateful that we are joined this morning also by Tharp, Eralie, and Niko, Ostrander, who will also be speaking with us today. So let us now light our flaming chalice in this sacred and holy space. And Louise is going to come up and light our chalice. And Dylan has our chalice lighting words.
As I get into our chalice lighting words, I just wanted to share a bit about Louise. She wanted to let you know that she likes watching shows and movies, and her favorites are K-pop Demon Hunter. Her favorite characters are Rumi and Junie, and her other favorite show is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Our chalice lighting words today are a responsive reading. So as I say, we bear witness, I hope you will repeat after me as I go through these statements. We people gather here today on the quest for truth and meaning. We bear witness. To the record of human lives extinguished simply because they dared to live authentically, we bear witness. To the lives and reported deaths of at least 281 transgender people globally this year, we bear witness. To the lives and reported deaths of 69 transgender people in the United States this year, we bear witness. To the unreported ones, uncounted ones, the names, the unnamed many whose lives and deaths will only ever be known to the universe, we bear witness. In these times of heightened anxiety, we who are gathered here today reject the teachings of division and ignorance and commit to siding with love against hatred. We bear witness. Against closed-minded ideologies that excuse evil acts in the name of religion, we bear witness. Against any administration that seeks to fuel their rise to power by threatening the lives of transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people, we bear witness. Against systematic power structures that treat transgender people, particularly those of color, as anything less than human, we bear witness. On this day, we who are queer folk and allies gather together to uphold that every person has inherent worth and dignity. We bear witness. For those transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people who have gathered among us today, we bear witness. These remembered deaths do not go unnoticed by us. We bear witness. Sacred, transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary lives do not go unnoticed by us. We bear witness. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy and Nylea. So this year, as I stated earlier, the Transgender Day of Remembrance website has recorded 69 trans lives lost in the US. Our society's continual acceptance and silence around issues of transphobia is what allows these deaths and this violence to occur. These deaths and this violence is not an outside statistic. We know that transphobia exists here in our Los Alamos community and in New Mexico. And a couple years ago, we saw anti-trans folks protesting the drag queen story time at our public library here. Transphobia is literally killing our trans siblings, our trans children, our trans friends, and our trans partners and family members. If we had put all 69 photos out on the chairs in this sanctuary, you all would not have had a place to sit. It is past time for all of us to work together to stop this culture of violence and hate. We must do better. But how can we do better? There's a quote by actress Emma Watson that I like that speaks to how we can do better by changing our perspective. Emma states, "It is time that we see all gender as a spectrum instead of two opposing sides." So the first steps are internal work, our self-work. Realizing that gender is on a spectrum allows us all to see ourselves on the same team, the human team. We are all on the gender spectrum somewhere. Where are you on that gender spectrum? Think about that for a second. Now, let's all think about something a little harder to digest. Where in ourselves have we seen transphobic biases turn up? We all have biases. We're a part of a transphobic culture that we all live in. And it is up to all of us to examine our own transphobia and then work towards collectively liberating ourselves from these transphobic biases. So the next steps are external, and this is our work in community with others. So what are some ways we as community members can put an end to transphobia? One way is by recognizing microaggressions, prejudices, judgments, and discrimination. So I know for a fact that trans folks in our UU communities are not free from experiencing microaggressions. And what is a microaggression? A microaggression is an indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against a member of a marginalized group. So if I were to go up directly to a trans member of the trans community and ask them if they were trans without them providing this information to me first, this would be a microaggression. This type of question when first meeting someone can make people feel other, which then can make them feel unsafe. Conversely, I wouldn't go up to a person who identifies as cisgender male or female and ask them if they're male or female. This is not how I greet a person I do not know. Instead, I can greet a person who might be different from me by introducing myself to them and using my pronouns, and if I feel comfortable doing that, right? Another way we can help one another put an end to transphobia in our community is to speak out when we see or hear problematic behavior. For microaggressions that you might hear, even here at church, you can pull someone aside and let them know that what they said or did might have made that person feel uncomfortable, and the reasoning why. And lastly, we want to, as a community, celebrate trans and non-binary lives. We come together to celebrate our differences and our similarities. And all of these lives we have lost this year were people with joys and struggles just like all of us. These people were contributing members of society. And we are not here to say that these lives were not thriving. Many of these people were thriving when their lives were unjustly cut short. Many of these lives were also trying to survive in communities with barriers that threaten the mental and physical well-being of trans and non-binary lives. Transphobia affects all of us because all of our liberation is bound with one another's liberation. We are not free until all of us are free. So may we remember these lives, and may we commit to changing ourselves and our transphobic culture and society. We must commit to the internal, external. work that is necessary for a culture of transphobia and violence to change. And it is past time for all of us humans on the spectrum of gender to put an end to those deaths. We must work on ourselves, work in our community together as we commit to change the culture of transphobic violence that is killing all of us. Now, I would like to invite Niko to come forward to share his story and perspectives with us.
You'll have to excuse me, I'm very nervous, very emotional, and very exhausted, having stayed up the past few nights, having written this. And I honestly did not, thank you, and I honestly did not get a chance to practice, so excuse me if I stumble a little bit, but I feel confident in what I wrote. I'll go ahead and give a content warning. What I have to say is very emotional. I'll be talking about SA and bathrooms. Hello, everyone. You may or may not know me, but my name is Niko, and I use he, him pronouns. My stepmother is Terra, if you know her, the director of religious education. And I am a transgender man. I am also married to my wife, Lilith, she, her, who is also transgender. We transitioned together, my wife beginning her journey a few months before I did. I have been transitioning for 5 years, starting on HRT in December of 2019. When I talk to most people about my gender identity, I tell them that I am a transgender man, just to keep things simple. But truly, I feel that I am non-binary. It's just hard to explain that sometimes. I like to live my life as a man, but like just general interactions day to day. But I still very, very much enjoy dressing pretty and feminine for occasions, like going out with my wife. I identify strongly with my masculinity as well as my femininity, and have always been happy with my body, despite the pressures for proving my masculinity as a small person, as a small man, as a small woman. I describe gender for myself as more of a gender issue, and I just honestly really like being treated like a dude most of the time, and I more than prefer it. I absolutely love it, and I think it's a good role for me. And before I go into what I'm going to say, I'd really like to thank my wife, Lilith, for helping me write and edit this, and just for continually inspiring me. And I wouldn't have the wisdom and the courage to write this without you. I love you so much. We honestly had so much to say. We had to carefully choose what we felt was most important to talk about, and it ended up cutting out more than half of my speech. I had another great story to tell you all, but I only have 10 minutes. I feel like what I'm about to say is more important. I want to talk about the fear, the absolute fear that we don't know when or how we are going to die. Just that most of us know or love someone transgender who was killed out of hate. How scared we are to go on a walk, to go to the store, to go to work, and especially into a bathroom, or generally just exist in public. That we are terrified for our safety and the safety of our loved ones. My wife has developed agoraphobia, and I've struggled with it myself. And I mean, I do better now, but still, we don't use public restrooms if we can help it, because that's what we have to do to feel safe and to be safe. I know there are many outside of our community that say that they are afraid for their safety, but their fear is misplaced because the person that they are afraid of is not us. The handful of cases that report a man wearing a dress entering the women's restroom to commit atrocities are just that. They are misogynistic men wearing dresses, and they are not us. And we are just as terrified and intolerant of them as you are. Thank you. These people do not identify as women when they put on a dress. They are men who identify as men, and they use our identity as a convenient excuse and distraction to commit their crimes against innocent people. Our reasons for transitioning have absolutely nothing to do with that. I promise you, if you were ever in a public restroom with a transgender person, that person is infinitely more afraid of you than you are of them. When it comes to assaults in public restrooms, the data is extremely clear. Trans folk are exponentially more likely to be victims and perpetrators in every single scenario. We are not the people that you or any of us should be afraid of. The day that a transgender woman decides to take a leap of faith, regardless of the consequences, despite others saying they know them better than themselves. The day they worked up the courage to put on a dress despite feeling like they were just humiliating themselves and emasculating themselves in front of their friends and loved ones, coworkers and schoolmates, as well as strangers and our own state and government, as well as give up the right to safety and justice of their lives, and risk all their dignity and personhood just so that they themselves could say that they are happy and they lived a full life. It was the day they and every transgender person who chose to give up the privilege to feel safe with the hope that maybe they'll be seen as not only as the gender they are, but as a human being worthy of life in the pursuit of happiness. And the courage to say that despite everything, despite it all, despite everything against us, that it is worth it. Even when everyone does laugh at them and abandons them or betrays them or destroys them. When every lie is told and we are willfully misunderstood because they think they know who we are and how a human being is and isn't supposed to be. And they hold that power over us in life and death. And when they force us to die with the one name we never wanted to the grave. Despite all that, we do it because it's worth it. We are human beings and need the bathroom like anybody else. When we go in quickly and quietly to do our business and are out as fast as we possibly can. Whenever we do get assaulted, the police don't respond to it or record it. And when they do, we are told that it's our fault and we're in the wrong bathroom and we're not the victim here. Only our assaulters are the victims for having to deal with the psychological horror of being in the same room with someone different from them. Because in their minds, the crime committed wasn't that an innocent person was physically or sexually assaulted, permanently disabled, or even murdered because they had to go pee. The crime was that the room they chose, the crime was that the room they chose had the wrong sign in their eyes. Because there is nothing more humiliating and devaluing of a man's masculinity than being feminine, than wearing a dress, than being a woman. And that is because women are seen lesser in the eyes of men, and they always have, and that is the truth. And so we feel the fear from the first day we ever consider we may be trans, knowing we'll face that ridicule and discrimination, that our friends and loved ones, coworkers, etc., they won't believe in the validity of our gender, or disown us, or all three, or worse. The very first day we decided to come out and change our name and wear the other gender's clothes, we lost that privilege. And only once, and often a big if for us that scares us and makes us feel so unsure of our choices, that we might start to pass for a woman or a man, and maybe to start to feel a little safer, you know, the privilege of passing for cisgender. Or if you prefer, the privilege of being allowed to live a normal life. A life where having to use the restroom isn't a potentially life or death action where you have to consider if you really have to go bad enough to justify potentially getting murdered, or if you can just hold it a little longer. The criminals that victimize innocents in public restrooms don't experience any of this. They put on a gender disguise to commit their crimes so that they can use our community as a scapegoat to cover their crimes. Transgender people are not wearing a gender costume that we take off at the end of the day or decide to change whenever it's socially convenient. Gender is an innate part of the human experience for us, just as much as it is for every other human on this planet. And if you still think that they are us and that we are all predators, then dare I say you made their crimes easier for them to commit. Dare I say that they got that bright idea from you all. With your help, they kill more of us than the amount that they directly assault. And we know that is more than convenient to you. And that is why you tolerate and exasperate all these destructive lies that hurt not just us, but all of us. I had a really rough time on Friday afternoon when I came over to the church to help set up for the service. I was helping cut out the flyers with everybody on them, every record that we have. And I cut them out, and it was really overwhelming. We didn't buy enough frames. We weren't even sure what we'd do with them all and how we might display them all. If we tried fitting them on the walls, if they'd even fit, or if we could just manage that. We sorted them into 4 groups: Mexico, South America, United States, and the rest of the world. I got to practice my geography while I looked at the pictures and read each one's name, their country, the date they died, and how they died. Very quickly, it was too much as I looked over just how many there were. I know the numbers, but it's so different when you hold each one in your hand and read them all and look at their beautiful faces. Their beautiful faces. Each one absolutely gorgeous, regardless of conventional beauty. That horrible people who heartlessly and hatefully tore away from us. Some of the causes of death that I read were stabbed, shot, hit by a vehicle, dismembered. And what was more horrifying than that was how many of them didn't even have a name or face. Just that they saw a dirty tranny and then threw them to the side. Their bodies as mangled and undignified as how they were made, as how they made them felt. Wondering why they even bothered to report us, if they report us at all. Who really are the ones that are a danger now? Let me say that again. Who really are the ones that are a danger here? You look at all the lives lost here and tell me, who's really a danger as a group and as individuals when you're all the ones promoting a genocide and jeopardizing everyone's safety? When you think we are them and allow this discrimination and allow this genocide to continue, you are only hurting the true victims here. The ones who are assaulted, cis and transgender alike. This is a problem for all of us until anyone who thinks that, until you realize that every single human being's life is worth something, until you realize this loss to humanity.
Thank you for your testimony. As we continue, I just, when I was thinking about what to write and say about today, Trans Day of Remembrance is a funeral to those lost to violence. And there's so many people. How do you summarize them? How do you tell their stories? How do you do that? And the best way as a scientist I could think of was to tell you the statistics and tell you what a lot of these people had in common. And I picked out a few people to highlight. Of the people that are represented here today, 68% of them were from Latin America and the Caribbean. 30% occurred in Brazil. 90% of the victims were trans women or trans feminine people. 88% were Black or brown. 34% were sex workers. 14% were activists. And 44% of the people who passed away, it was due to gun violence. And those are just some of the summaries. One thing I encourage everyone to do as you interact with each individual is hold them, all of them. This is everybody. On this extra large sheet, it's overwhelming. I was here to set up on Friday as well, and you just get handed this big stack of people. Here you go. Figure out how to tell people about them and their lives. And it's a lot. It's just one big spreadsheet of people. And it's overwhelming. I encourage you to hold this and feel the weight of everyone. For the few people I wanted to highlight before we get into the reading of the names, I wanted to highlight Lily Dawn Harkins and Gabrielle Cam Nguyen. They were partners that passed away together. Their pictures are together on a chair here. Please read their stories. The three youngest people, Caitlin Renetta Benoit, Parker Savarese, and Roy Mora, they were all 15. Please find and read their stories. And the last person is the oldest person on the list, Jonathan Joss. He died in San Antonio, Texas. He was protecting his transgender husband. He was a cisgender man who was protecting his transgender husband. And a lot of people know who he is because he is famous. He is in King of the Hill and on Parks and Rec. No amount of fame protected him and his family from experiencing this violence. So please, as we will read all the names, and then please come up and read their stories. Read the stories of the people in the chairs. There's no way to summarize all of their lives besides just reading them. Thank you.
Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. We are grateful for these lives. We honor them today. We are grateful for prophetic speak from Niko. Thank you. And for lifting up the statistics and stories. Dylan, thank you. As we transition, since we're a little bit over time, we're going to allow this space to remain, and you can come back here, and at noon, we're going to be reading the names. So we're not going to read them this moment as we were planning, but we are going to read them because that is the practice. So if you guys will go out, we'll sing our closing the way, and you are invited to come back into this space. Also, comparative religions will be in the meditation space. Owl will go out and do their class. So we will gather together back in this space at noon to do the reading of the names. Thank you. So let us stand and grab hands if you so choose to sing our closing song, The Way. Let us go out. So I'm going to read some names, and then you ring the chime after each name.
Got it. We can just do it that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Honey Walker. Jill Heathers Beauvair. Megan Jordan Credilli. Phoenix Cassetta. Raven Syed.
Rick Alistair Newman. Son Coleman. Allison Ketchum Alex. Jay Flores. Leah Joe.
Serenity Birdsong. Spencer James Kestel. Sydney Lee Phillips. Sid. Name unknown. Quanisha Chantel Coco. Kyla Jane Walker.
Laisha Wright. Roy Mora. Aziza Barnes, or Z. Cam Thompson. Mika Shabazz. River Trevino.
Johnny Adamau. Parker Savaris. Elisa Ray Shoup. Aubrey Dameron. Tahiri Broom.
Sam Nordquist. Erviana Johnson. Amiri Dior. Linda Becerra Moran. Jordan J.J. May.
Caitlin, Renetta, Benoit. Katoria, Lacynthia, Banks, Kai. Nora Horwitz. Kelsey Elam. Shai Paris Dupree.
Carmen Wells. Charlotte Fosgate. Jonathan Joss. Tessa June. Jax Grattan. Laura Schuler.
Hope Leica Youngblood. Emma Slaubach. JJ Godby. Christina Hayes. Gabrielle Nguyen Cam. Lily Dawn Harkins.
Kia Lee Tabitha Roberts. Kamora Woods. Artie Cassidy Beowulf Gibson. Nathaniel Pabone Cruz, Nata. Dream Johnson. Blair A. Sawyer. Rosa Machuca.
Aurora Pellegrina Alexa or Luna. Kasi Ria, Kai Holmes. Onyx Cornish. Robin James Post. Blaze Alexander Baye Mason. Blake Sturm.
Scarlett. Tiara Love Tori Jackson.
Thank you all for honoring their names, their stories in this sacred and holy space today. And may we commit to ending transphobic violence until we say no more names. The space will be open for the next 20, 30 minutes or so, however long you all need. I'm here. And please come up, and if you haven't already, and read the stories more in depth about these people's lives that were lost, if you so choose. And some of the other international ones, you can use your QR code on your phone to read their stories too. So thank you all, and have a sacred and blessed holiday time with family and friends and loved ones. And may we all support one another here in this community and take care of each other. Amen. May it be so.